Howdy folks, welcome to Bullish on Farming. Today's June 5th and just moved the pigs into a fresh paddock about an hour ago. Went and moved the cows, came back and thought, I'm going to shoot a video of the pigs. The people love the pigs, and maybe you could tell me why you guys love the pigs so much. I think they're a great animal, especially when raising them out in the forest. There's nothing really like it. Offering animals a forage-based lifestyle and having a management program that facilitates abundant conditions with that is a reward in of itself. And we can talk a little bit about that in this video. There's nothing wrong with raising your animals in any particular way. We just like to talk about how we're enthusiastic in doing it. And so when it comes to pigs, we like raising them in the forest because there's ample shade. All right. A lot of people don't know that pigs evolved in the forest, and one of the many animals that can burn due to their lack of a thick coat. And so instead of having a fixed shade structure, which would be fine, but would come with its own type of situation, we have nature's umbrellas all throughout these paddocks, which allow shade to be accessible in most to all the paddock, which means that the pigs are going to be occupying different areas of that paddock instead of one fixed area that is designated for shade. With regards to distributing manure and impact, that's huge, because those of you who run animals know that the most popular place to hang out, especially when it's hot and sunny, is in the shade, by the waterer, by the feed, if that's in a fixed position as well. So there's that. Also, being in the forest, what's offered as vegetative ground cover is part of their foraging program. Now, what's below the soil with regards to grubs, bugs, roots, bulbs, that's part of their foraging program. And unlike other animals, the pigs will root up the soil. They'll dig, and when getting the desired impact, it's more of a light cultivating of the ground, kind of like what you can see here. It's kind of loosening up the dirt in the top few inches of the ground, and the benefits of that are, aeration and malleable soil that can have life forms moving through it. And so as their manure and organic matter that's dropped from the animals churned in with the vegetation and organic matter that they're trampling and working into the soil, that's going to attract life forms and microbial activity. And that microbial activity will attract other life forms. And as that'll attract insects, which will attract birds, which in theory would attract larger animals higher on the food chain. Not to mention that it's all contributing to the activity in the soil. So you're creating fertility. Now that's all great, but how do you make that work with a pig that, if they overextend their stay, will really end up creating a war site, or, looking like a bomb went off more than anything? Well, you need to have a rotational system. And here we have a 6-paddock rotational system, and the pigs occupy each paddock for, on average, 2 weeks. When it's drier, they stay longer. When it's wet, they move quicker. They don't necessarily have to. It's all about evaluating it daily. And now with that rotation system, we get 70 days of rest. And during the growing season, 2 months or more of recovery is more than enough for these paddocks to flush out and be full. We got out in the forest a bit early. We were out here late April, and we had one paddock that had been foraged through lightly in the fall, so it had some vegetative cover to offer the pigs late April, but it was also wet, and they, churned that all up real quick. The other 2 paddocks that we've occupied have been nothing to brag about, but they've been well-rested fields and hadn't had animals in them since early fall last year. So with regards to, cycling parasites and anything like that, especially headed through a winter season, not to mention it's been more than a few months, you're in the clear. It's better than keeping your pigs in a confined barn setting, if you ask me, if they're on rested soil where they can live out the spirit of their nature and, root up and still eat worms and, drop their manure in areas that will contribute to fertility, areas that you want to be doing that. In a barn, it's different. You got to muck it out and care for these animals. And, pigsty isn't just a figure of speech. Areas go rank quick when pigs overextend their stay. And so, finding the balance between having your pigs do the desired amount of impact and I forget the other thing I was thinking of. The balance between having the right impact in your paddocks and the right recovery in your paddocks. Because when you have your desired impact, then in your allotted time of recovery, your land is given the opportunity to bounce back, which gives it time to, make movements in the regenerative processes taking place. But also in bouncing back, being ready to accommodate the impact of your animals again. See, a lot of people think about just feeding their animals or having space for their animals to be. But I'll tell you, if that's an extended period of time, you're not doing yourself or your animals any favor, because you're welcoming unhygienic conditions unless you have a program that appropriately addresses it. But even then, it would be, if it's not within nature's design, you're going to need machines to clean up after these things, or, extra labor-intensive work to do it. When you're moving your animals, all that work's done for you simply by the pigs being the pigs. Their feeding program becomes incorporated with their with the fertilization program of your farm, and in some particular cases incorporated with your seeding program. And you can see that these pigs are just taking a nap in the nice cool spots. It's been so hot leading up to this point. Been on top of their water and feeding them everything, but you could just tell by the soil here and the cracks we have in it that, the ground's thirsty. So I suppose before I close this video off, let's show the paddock that we moved out of. Because, I talk about desired impact and we all have that ideal in mind. At the end of the day, it's nothing, nature's very forgiving. So you don't want to be too anal retentive about these things. But I take a look around here and I'm happy with what I'm seeing. The soil's been powdered, lightly tossed. Some areas is going to have a little bit more of that mudding over. It's usually around their feeder if it's not moved. I probably could be moving their feeder more, because technically I could be moving it to another section every single day to, prevent any type of smothering and developing of smothered mud that's really thick and that you could tell, life forms would have a hard time moving through it. That's just going to be, bringing areas that are more bald and less fertile. You want to prevent that by moving aspects like their water troughs and their feed stations as often as possible. But this was 2 weeks and a fairly dry time while the pigs occupied. I don't think it rained once. And, entering this paddock seems like a breath of fresh air. And the pigs are happy about it, and enough green cover to last them a few days at least. And soon enough, we'll have market garden produce coming in for these hogs, and it only gets better and better. So I'd like to say thanks for stopping by, folks. God bless you all. We'll see you on the next one.